What's up, you guys? I'm Rachel DeMita, and welcome to the Courtside Club, and welcome to day one of the 12 days of Radmas. So we did Radmas last year, and I really loved it, and I feel like you guys loved it as well, so we are bringing it back for this year with 12 episodes leading up to Christmas Day. And also, you guys, 50% of the earnings that we make on these episodes, I will be donating to animal shelters here in Texas. We also did this last year, and it was so cool just being able to donate so much dog food, cat food, toys, litter, all of the things. I felt like Santa Claus for these animals, and it was just really cool. So we will be doing that again. I hope that you guys enjoyed this series, and let's jump into today's episode. So I want to talk about this article that everybody is talking about, and it's the protected player predictions from ESPN for the 2026 WNBA Expansion Draft. And before I even jump into this, you guys, firstly, all of this is still a hypothetical because the WNBA has not figured out their CBA for this upcoming season. And I wanted to flag that the expansion draft was held on December 6th last year for the Golden State Valkyries. So we are already past when they would normally have this expansion draft. So there is still no date set. I don't know how much more they need to do to get ready for it, but I've also been one who has said, like, they do not have that much time. I know a lot of people, when they're talking about the WNBA CBA, they're like, oh, they have plenty of time. The season doesn't start until May. There are so many things that get done during the off season, especially with these expansion teams. And you guys were asking me so much, even last season, like, who do you want the Fever to protect? Who do you want them to keep? Who do you want them to pick up during free agency? I will also say this, you guys, this new CBA is going to shake up the WNBA like we have never seen. We've seen what the WNBA offered when it came to the salary increases. I don't think that that number is going to dip at all because the WNBA players continue to fight for not only a higher salary, but also higher revenue. So the salary that we are seeing is probably going to be at minimum what these women are getting. And like we talked about last season, the max salary was around $220,000. This season, that's going to be the minimum salary. And the average salary is going to be closer to the $400,000, $500,000 range, with that supermax being over $1 million. So I would expect that a lot of these role players, a lot of these veteran players, they're going to be going to teams. They're going to be trying to get to teams where they can make as much money as they possibly can, because I'm sure there's a lot of players who feel like they just have a lot of years to make up for. I don't even know what to predict for a lot of these teams when it comes to free agency. Now, when it comes to this expansion draft, there are also some things that I don't fully understand, but I will try to explain to you guys the best way that I know how. So during any expansion draft, each team gets to protect players. Now, last year they got to protect 6 players. It seems like for this expansion draft, maybe because it's 2 separate teams, they only get to protect 5 players. And I'm seeing a lot of fans start to freak out about who ESPN predicted that these certain teams will protect. And I just want to bring everybody back to reality for a second, because I feel like a lot of the players that are protected, it's less of like, we need this player, and more of watching the money and the contract situations, because there are certain players that even if they were drafted to these expansion teams, they would have to be given a max salary at these expansion teams. So if you have a player that's not a superstar player, but you still want them on your team, you might not have to protect them because of their free agency status. So even in this article, they kind of outlined it as the roster designation. There's unsigned draft pick, there's restricted free agent, there's reserved free agent, there's suspended list and contract expired, and then there's also unrestricted free agents. But as you guys can see, and you check out this article yourself if you want to go into detail, because we'd be here all day if I went into detail with every single team. But once you scroll through this, you will see how many unrestricted free agents there currently are in the WNBA. And that was something that a lot of players were really smart when they were calculating the teams that they were going to for the last few years and what contracts they were picking up, because everybody was circling this year as the year that the WNBA would be renegotiating their CBA. So even with the Indiana Fever last year, there were so many players who came to the Indiana Fever on 1-year deals. 1-year deals because they knew the new CBA would go into effect. They wanted to be able to capitalize on that. So when you're reading stuff like this, like, don't be scared if your favorite player on a certain team is not protected, because that doesn't automatically mean that they're not going to be with that team for the next season. And it also doesn't automatically mean that that team doesn't value that player just because they didn't protect them. Does that make sense? So let's jump into this article. I'm going to point out a couple teams that I feel like you guys would be most interested in. Let's start with the Chicago Sky. So they are protecting Ariel Atkins, Camila Cardoso, Angel Reese, Isa Sivka, and Haley Van Lith. Angel Reese stood out to me because if you guys remember last season, it seems like Angel Reese does not want to be in Chicago anymore. I think that they are protecting Angel Reese. They are coring Angel Reese to try to get some trade value out of her instead of just letting her walk, because I could see one of these expansion teams picking up a player like Angel Reese. And that's also what I noticed from some of these teams. It seems like some of the players that they might be protecting them so they can get trade value out of them. Another one was Arike Ogunbowale with the Dallas Wings. It doesn't seem like Arike's future is with Dallas, and it especially doesn't seem like Arike's future is with Dallas if the Dallas Wings draft AZ Fudd to play alongside Paige Beckers. It seems like a situation where Dallas is probably just going to build around Paige, and the Paige Arike experiment, that's not the greatest word for it, but you guys know what I'm trying to say. Those two weren't a winning formula. They're both incredible players, but it didn't turn out to be the dynamic backcourt that a lot of people were expecting. There's also some injuries with Arike, but a lot of fans and media are expecting that Arike might not stay in Dallas for the long term. But of course, you would want to get some value from trading her instead of just letting her walk. Now, the Golden State Valkyries are an interesting one because I feel like Valkyries fans are going to be really sad after this expansion draft and also free agency, because the Golden State Valkyries, they did so much better than any of us expected last season. And they built a fan base so very quickly. They sold out every single home game. Obviously, they play in Chase Center, which is a huge arena. They already have just such a loyal fan base as an expansion team, but that's also good news for the new expansion teams in the Toronto Tempo and the Portland Fire. And I also just saw today that the Toronto Tempo said that their season tickets are officially sold out. And it says, to all of our season ticket members, thank you for making history with us. And this is basically like history repeating itself. The Golden State Valkyries also sold out their season tickets very, very quickly. And so if that's any indication of what these expansion teams could become, it's a truly exciting time for them. But it is sad for Golden State Valkyries fans, because even if you look at these players that are unprotected, Monique Billings is on there, Caitlin Chen is on there, and her WNBA story was such a wild ride, but she made her way back to the Valkyries. Temi Fig-Benley is on there, Tiff Hayes is on there, and obviously Kate Martin is on there. And if you guys remember, Kate Martin's rookie season, she was top 5 in jersey sales. She is still a fan favorite. So it'll be really interesting to see how this Golden State Valkyries roster shakes out in the end. All right, you guys, great news. My HelloFresh box arrived today. And you know that I've been trying to order in less and cook at home more. So luckily, HelloFresh has got me covered. My life has been super busy lately with filming for Courtside Club, traveling, and getting ready for the holidays. And HelloFresh is perfect because it saves me time and the meals are super easy to make. HelloFresh has so many nutritious, healthy, and vegan meal options for me. And with this cold weather, it's officially soup season. So today's choice was lentil and kale. And it smelled so good, even Sky wanted to try a bite. And you guys can get up to 10 free meals at HelloFresh.com with my code RADFM. Free meals applied as discount on first box, new subscribers only, varies by plan. That's up to 10 free HelloFresh meals and free shipping. Just go to HelloFresh.com with my code RADFM. And thanks again to HelloFresh for sponsoring today's episode. Moving on to the Indiana Fever, and this is obviously the one everybody was freaking out about. So the Indiana Fever, they have Aaliyah Boston, Caitlin Clark, Lexie Hull, Kelsey Mitchell, and Michaela Timpson as their protected players. And you guys, honestly, this makes sense to me just because of the contract style. So a lot of people were worried about Sophie Cunningham getting picked up in this expansion draft. But unless an expansion team sees Cunningham as a core candidate, which also means that she gets that max contract, that would leave them choosing between a pair of unprotected Aussies in Bibby and Wallace. And that's the thing for Sophie. If she doesn't get picked up by an expansion team and doesn't get that max contract, then I could see her going back to the Fever. But also if she got picked up and she went to one of these expansion teams and they give her a max salary, like that's incredible for her. That's amazing for her. And she would do super well at one of these expansion teams because you see the kind of fan base that rallies behind them. So I feel like it's a win-win for Sophie. If I had to guess, I feel like she probably would be back with the Fever. And if it was a perfect world for me, I would say that the Fever should keep as many players as they possibly can from last season. I would love to see a run it back situation with the Indiana Fever. It seems like their chemistry was really good. They didn't have locker room issues, especially in the second half of the season. It seemed like all of the girls got along. Obviously, they went through so much adversity with all of the injuries and setbacks that they had. But through all of that, they took the Aces to a Game 5 overtime loss. And the Aces went on to sweep the Mercury in the finals. And like, the Indiana Fever, they were hanging on by a thread. Lexie was having issues with her back. Kelsey had that really scary, I wouldn't even call it an injury. It was like a condition that happened to her from essentially playing until the wheels fell off. So with the Indiana Fever, I would just love to see them keep as many players as they possibly can. Another player fans were worried about was Ari McDonald. Like, she could be a perfect backup for Caitlin Clark, but she's also an unrestricted free agent. So if you look at this list, you guys, Sid Colson, Sophie, Damiris Dantas, Ari, and Brianna Turner, they're all unrestricted free agents. And so again, I think when it comes to coring or protecting certain players, it's more so based on their contracts. And obviously you have the core four that they really want to keep, and Caitlin, Aaliyah, Lexie, and Kelsey. But when you're looking at the contract structure, it's more about that and less about, oh, this is how much these players mean to me and my team. It's a little bit of both. And also, you guys, I'm learning as I go with all of this. It seems like even in the WNBA, like, this writer doesn't even know exactly how this expansion draft is going to run. So I'll do my best to update you guys as I can and give you more details so we can all collectively understand this kind of confusing expansion draft that will hopefully be happening if they have a 2026 season. I also wanted to talk about the ineligible players for this expansion draft because there's quite a few on this list and I don't even understand why. The only thing I can understand is maybe because they're veterans and maybe it has something to do with their contract. If you guys know, please let me know in the comments, but Natasha Howard is one who is ineligible. Jewel Lloyd is also ineligible. Jonquel Jones and Brianna Stewart are ineligible, which is great for the New York Liberty, and also Dewana Bonner, Kalia Copper, and Skylar Diggins and Nneka Ogwumike. But anyway, you guys, that's pretty much it. I don't want to bore you getting into the nitty gritty of all of this because this is still all speculation. We still don't even know if we are going to have an expansion draft this year if they don't get the CBA done. But I just wanted to give you guys a little update on what's going on in the expansion draft. And also, you guys, tomorrow starts Team USA training camp, so hopefully there will be some content that we can cover from that. Also, this weekend is the NBA Cup tournament. The Spurs are playing the Oklahoma City Thunder. I am really excited about that because those are two of my favorite teams in the NBA. So I will be covering some NBA Cup stuff. We'll be covering Team USA. If there's any other topics or things that you guys want me to cover during Radmas, please let me know in the comments below. Also, there will be some vlogs during Radmas too, which is really fun. I vlogged in New York. I'm editing that one currently. But with all of that, you guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments below. Thumbs up this video if you enjoyed it. Click that little subscribe button because we upload new videos every single week. And with that, I'll see you next time. Ooh, yeah, nah.